Hey guys, in today's video, I want to do something that makes absolutely no sense. I'm going to tell you how you can beat me. I'm going to reveal my biggest weakness on the tennis court. And the reason why this makes no sense is that no tennis player in their right mind would ever do this, but hey, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to give you the blueprint on my biggest weakness. And the funny thing about my biggest weakness is that it actually used to be my biggest strength. Now, before I reveal my biggest secret, we have to go a little bit back in my tennis history so that the whole story makes sense. So I used to play high-level tennis. I was one of the best Division I tennis players in the country. And when I was in juniors, I had a pretty horrific injury that is important in the context of what I'm about to tell you regarding my biggest weakness. But in any case, this injury didn't really prevent me from playing high-level tennis. I was doing okay, and then right after I finished college, I actually started teaching. But the first, I would say, 10 years of my teaching career, I continued to play a lot of high-level tennis. I played a lot of prize money tournaments on the weekends and so on. But then I re-injured this specific part of my body again, and for that moment in time, I was not able to compete at the high level anymore. I have not played any tournaments since that day, and this is going back 7 years. But then 3.5 years ago, I started uploading videos to YouTube, and I was having some great success pretty much from day one. And a lot of you guys were curious to see me play, and that inspired me to play some more matches. However, last year, 2021, was a horrible year for me. My dad passed away, and also I was having some injuries that were really frustrating. I injured my ankle, and other parts of my body were causing some trouble as well. And I had not played a single set in more than a year. And then I had this crazy idea that I wanted to do a weight gain / weight loss challenge. I wanted to see how I perform on the tennis court with having extra weight. So I ended up gaining 45 pounds, and I went on the tennis court without having played in a year. And you can watch that video on my YouTube channel, and I want to tell you a little bit about how I felt in that particular match. So on that day, I felt like I wasn't going to be able to play at all. I felt like I wasn't going to be able to move because my ankle is still bothering me. And also the fact that I hadn't played any points. I don't know if you can put yourself in my shoes. If you don't play any sets, any competitions for a long period of time, even though you're hitting on the court, it's just something that's completely different. Once you're out there playing sets, that before going on that match, I literally thought that I couldn't play at all. I thought that I wasn't going to be able to even keep the ball in play, even move around on the court. But then we warmed up, we started the match, and to my surprise, I started the match phenomenally well with 2 aces, and I think I made 3 out of 4 serves, and I felt amazing in that first game. And guys, I couldn't tell you how happy I was after that first match, because I literally thought that I wasn't going to be able to play. Everything combined, the weight gain that was done on purpose, by the way, because I wanted to prove several points, which I'll get into in a minute. But having gained weight, having these lingering injuries, and not having played for such a long time, in my head I thought that I was done and I wasn't able to play tennis anymore. So the fact that it came on the court against a quality opponent and was able to play a pretty decent tennis made me so happy, and also prompted me then to actually start losing weight, to document the whole thing. And I actually ended up playing a lot of tennis. I played a lot of sets, a lot of matches, and you can see my tennis body transformation in this video if you're a member at intuitivetennis.com. And also you can see the match that I played after my weight loss right here on YouTube. So in any case, there was a lot of video there that I was processing. I played tons of sets, I was on the court a lot, and I was recording everything, of course. And I started noticing something really weird in my game, something that I've never seen before, something that I wasn't aware of, and that is exactly what the biggest weakness is in my game right now. So you can probably already tell what the weakness is, and it has to do with the backhand side, yes, but I'm still not going to get into the weakness. I have to tell you one more backstory so that this weakness makes sense. So when I played juniors in Germany, I played a lot on carpet in the winter, and this is where my first horrific injury happened. And what happened was I was playing on carpet, and I was hitting a backhand passing shot in a tiebreak where I was up 5-3. I'll never forget the score. This was a high-level German junior ranking tournament. It was the semifinals, and it was in a tiebreak, and I was up 5-3, and the guy came to the net, and I planted to do an open stance backhand, and this happened to be the best shot that I had. My two-handed backhand was absolutely my best shot. I could hit it aggressively, I could play it on the defense, and especially from defensive position, I was able to go down the line to hit winners. This was something that was a big strength of mine. I'll never forget this particular point. So this guy came into the net, and I was ready to hit a backhand passing shot. And what happened was, there's a lot of rotation on the two-handed backhand, but unfortunately, because I was on carpet, my left foot got stuck on the ground and I twisted my entire body around my left knee. Now I collapsed down on the court and they actually had to carry me off the court. I ended up going to the hospital, and what ended up happening was that I did tear some ligaments and I was out of the game for a while. But then, of course, I was young and I healed pretty well, and this injury didn't really hold me back from playing high-level tennis until I was playing the Men's Open Nationals in Fort Lauderdale on clay. And I've played this tournament many times, and this particular year I had the road to the final. One of my friends, John Goldfarb, who's a great player, ended up making it to the final that year, and I look at my draw and I felt I had a pretty good shot of making the final. And then in the first round, I played a guy from Gulf Coast University. I'll never forget this. And in the second set, I won the first set, I was up in the second set. Towards the end of that second set, I went to pick up a ball like this. It was back in the fence. I went to pick up a ball, and I went like this, a little bit of a bend, and my left knee just buckled. It just buckled, and I fell to the ground. And a couple of points prior to that, I had hit an open stance backhand where I did feel something in my left knee. So I ended up taking an injury timeout. I taped up my knee. I ended up doing something super stupid. I finished this match, which I won. The next day, I had played somebody that I knew I wasn't going to lose to, so even without being able to move, I still ended up playing that match stupidly and winning. I think it was like 3-3, barely able to move. And then when I was in the third round, I ended up calling in and pulling out because I couldn't even walk. And that really was the last time I played a high-level tournament. After that, I just have this fear in my head that if I'm being really tested on my backhand side, if I'm being pulled wide, if I have to put pressure on this knee that's been so damaged throughout my playing career, I just have this fear that is actually subconscious. I'm not aware of it, but I have this fear of hitting an open stance backhand. That doesn't mean that I can't hit open stance backhand. I can, but you guys have to understand that when you're testing your body at the high level, you're testing your body to the limits, and there's this fear that I have, and it's for that reason that I can't play high-level tennis anymore. So when I started my YouTube channel, which is about 4 years after that particular match, I started playing again. Okay, I hadn't played before that, and interesting things are starting to develop because of this fear. I am playing some high-level opponents, and there's something that my body's figuring out how to get around this problem. Again, I'm not making any of these things happen at the conscious level, but I did notice something very peculiar happening on my backhand side. So here's my biggest weakness. It turns out that if one of these players, like a Milan or a Safin, pushes me to the backhand side, if they hit a really strong ball to the backhand side, 99% of the time, I will slice my backhand. Now I made a video titled "The Easiest Shot in Tennis," which happens to be the backhand slice. When we're talking about playing defense on the backhand side, I'm opting out for the easy way because there's something in my head that's blocking me for hitting my open stance two-hander. And you're probably asking yourself, Nick, why is the slice a weakness? It's a great shot. And there's some truth to that. I hit my slice pretty decently. I'm able to stay in the point, but the fact remains that a slice is not something that you're gonna be able to turn a defense into offense that easily. Yes, it's possible, but you're gonna have to hit your slice extremely well. And this doesn't happen all the time. On the other hand, if you're able to hit your backhand from defensive positions, whether it be a one-handed backhand or a two-handed backhand, there's a lot more possibilities there to turn defense into offense, to go up the line. Even sometimes you're able to hit winners from defensive positions. So unfortunately, after reviewing the tape of my matches, it turns out that I'm hitting mostly slice backhands when I'm being pushed on that side, and I'm just not trusting my body to hit a two-handed backhand, because the body involvement on the two-handed backhand when it comes to defense is enormous, because you're going to be putting a lot of pressure on your offside. If you happen to be right-handed, those shots have to be handled by your non-dominant leg, and there's just not enough stability in this knee for me to do that consistently. But my left knee is not the only reason why my two-handed backhand has turned from my best shot into my worst shot. See, what happened is that I started teaching right after college, and I've been teaching on a full-time basis ever since. And this is a tip for all you tennis coaches, all the tennis pros out there that have two-handed backhands. You have to learn, if you haven't already, to hit a one-handed backhand. Why do I say that? Because the offhand, or the left hand for right-handers, is there when you're coaching to hold tennis balls, and you want to hold as many tennis balls in your left hand as possible. My dad could hold a ton of balls in his hand. He had pretty big hands. I can't hold that many. I can do 5 comfortably. I can do 6 if I squeeze one in right here. And you're probably thinking, why is that important? Well, if I wasn't holding balls in my left hand and I would use my two-hander, every time my student would miss, I would have to go to the basket, pick up a ball, and you're wasting your student's time. By having a lot of balls in your left hand, as soon as the student misses, you can shoot another ball their way. So what ended up happening is that once I finished college tennis, I developed a one-handed backhand because I was teaching full-time every single day. I was on the court hitting one-handed backhands. On a positive note, I can hit a pretty decent one-handed backhand. It's nothing compared to my two-handers, or when I play against players who are similar to my level, I can't use my one-handed backhand. It's not strong enough for that, but when I'm playing at the recreational level, it's good enough to be quite an effective shot at the rec level. But here's what happened to my left hand, or my left arm for that matter, as a result of it. My muscles in my forearm have atrophied. If you take a look at pictures of my left arm back when I was in college to pictures of my left arm now, you can see that the muscles have atrophied. My left arm has become a lot smaller, and the easy explanation for that is I'm simply not hitting enough two-handed backhands. So while there's not much that I can do about my left knee, there's definitely something I can do about practicing my two-handed backhand. And because I'm planning to play a lot more matches, you guys seem to enjoy watching me play, I'm going to be practicing my two-handed backhand a lot more. I'm going to build up these muscles for this stroke to become one of my better weapons again. Because here's the fact: if I'm not being pushed, if I'm hitting a backhand that's within my reach, I can hit the backhand still pretty well. It's only when I'm being put in defensive situations on the backhand. So even if I have time on my two-handed backhand to step around and hit it off my dominant leg, there's absolutely no problem. And the only problem occurs when I'm being pushed laterally and when I'm being pushed with the penetration of the incoming ball, where I am relying on my outside leg. That is the part of my body where I'm unwilling to put a lot of stress there, and therefore I settle mostly for a slice backhand. Now, another thing that I've been doing to hide this weakness, I've been running around my backhand a lot more, something that I didn't do back when I played actively. There was absolutely no reason to, but now since my two-handed backhand has gotten a lot worse, I find myself running around my backhand as often as possible, and that's something that I have full control over. I can get myself fast enough because my movement is not inhibited when I'm moving laterally this way. I'm going to try to not only improve my two-handed backhand, but also I'm going to try to run around it as often as possible. So guys, there it is. My weakness exposed. Now you know what to do. And you're probably thinking, oh, this is so easy. All I have to do is put pressure on Nick's backhand and I can beat him. But here's the thing. Because I can't move that much anymore due to my ankle and due to my knee, I am pretty much forced to play hyper-aggressive tennis. You know what that means? Basically, when I playing hyper-aggressive tennis, someone like a Becker or Sampras used to play like that at times, not all the time, but what that means is when I'm serving, I'm going for the ace every time. I'm not going to kick the ball in to get a rally started. No, every serve that I attempt is going to be an ace. Also, on the return games, there's not going to be situations where I'm going to try to extend the rally, get in a groove. No, if I get my hands on a return, you better believe I'm going for the blast. The only time I will extend the point and get the ball back in play if I'm in extreme emergency situations. This is where my high percentage brain kicks in, and I'm unlikely going to go for a winner in these type of situations, because the likelihood of making shots like that on a long-term basis, meaning through the course of a match, is extremely low. So basically, hyper-aggressiveness means that any chance that I get, any sliver of the chance that I get. You better believe I'm going to be going for the kill. And the reason for that is not so much that it's the smartest way to play tennis, but that is pretty much the only way where I can continue playing high-level tennis and present it to you guys on my YouTube channel.